Hello everybody, it's Model back for another video in my series on the mod Dooglamoo Cities for Minecraft. Let's get started quickly. In this one, we kind of have too much of a good thing going on, as is the tendency to happen. We have this great farm here, rather big, but we are full to the hilt of all the crops and seeds and all of that. Same thing with our tree farm here, just full to the hilt. Stuff is despawning in the world. We have to deal with this. The ranch is okay. These mine shafts are finished. This one is still in progress, so it's still pulling items. All right, so we need a way to empty these chests or empty the blocks here and pull them into some larger storage. So luckily there's a perfect block for that called the warehouse. And the warehouse is an inexpensive block like all the others, where it's 4 cobblestone and an item frame. We'll get you an inventory manager, essentially. All right, now I want to mention that the way I'm doing this series is I've intentionally not done anything with the economy, with the coin pouches or money or anything like that, because this is a very valid way to play Dooglamoo Cities. You do not have to play with the economy. We will go into the economy in depth in future videos. But for these initial setups and while you're learning the mod, you may want to not use the economy system, and that's a very valid way to play, and it makes it a lot easier because the distributor doesn't need to pay for any of the items that it's going to gather from any of the other blocks. These guys don't have to pay for food, all of that type of stuff. So there's no money being exchanged, so you don't have to worry about how that works at the moment. And that's the same thing with the warehouse. But I mention that because in the economy system, the warehouse is the last stop. It's kind of the dropping off final destination for things that can't go anywhere else. All right, so let's just quickly get our stats on the warehouse block here. It's kind of a little bit deeper in, so give me a second to find it. Right here. Okay, so it is an 8x8 that will operate 4 high, and it doesn't need any food. It operates all 24 hours. It needs some chests surrounded by them, and it stores items with a greater than 1 stack size for distributors. So tools and things it won't automatically handle. It needs something that stacks. So wood and cobblestone and things of that nature. Let me see, the mine shaft's telling me it needs some tools, and we'll be able to automate handling this. I'm going to go ahead and just give it some iron picks so it doesn't have a problem with that. All right, it is an 8x8. So what it does is when you place this block down, we'll place it here in this chunk, it will take up a corner of the chunk like the 8x8s, and then whatever inventories are in its area, and we'll just deal with chests in this video. This is just going to be a basics on the warehouse. So later on we'll look at some modded items. But we'll just deal with chests, double chests, and it'll read whatever is in the contents of these chests and then fill them. That's kind of its stock of what you want to put in it. So for instance, we need to get wood from the tree farm. So we could drag out all this wood here and say we want to store that much wood. Let's actually do 2 rows of saplings, and don't have mouse tweaks. Okay. And this much saplings. All right. So this is going to scan that and realize, okay, I've got stacks to fill in here. It's like all the other blocks in that it looks at a single item and then tries to fill the stack as much as it can. But it's now in communication with whatever distributor is handling wood, if you have one configured for that. And we should have this guy over here configured to get wood, but not saplings. So let's go ahead and configure him to get 4 stacks of saplings. So now this distributor is in communication with the warehouse 20 meters away. So here's the distributor. It's also in communication with this other distributor over there. That's something to mention, is that you can have multiple distributors, and you will. They can even contain the same items if you want, but generally they're going to be themed. So for instance, this is my cobble distributor here. And I did verify in my test that it doesn't matter if these blocks are disabled, at least for the mine shaft. It was the quarry I was having the issue with. I'll test it more when we get into the quarry. But it will pull the cobblestone from these even when they're inactive. So I'll go ahead and place some cobble in here so that we can see that happen. So I just added 2 stacks of cobble here, and then there's 11 more. And in this guy, there's, let me go ahead and sort it. There's just that. You could see that cobble got taken away just right at that moment. So the cobble got moved over to the distributor here to fill out the stacks that we had pushed. So see, these stacks are getting filled. So they're coming, this mine shaft itself is pulling in cobble as it's mining it. There's some right there. And then these are finished. And so it should see it pulled the cobble from this mine shaft, even though it's disabled at the moment, and put it over into the distributor. Now, in the warehouse, we could go ahead and configure, and I want to do a test in this as well, because I've also seen some things that I have questions about to see if it works or not with the second level of a double chest. So let's pull these guys down to here, to this row, and then we'll drag out what we want. But you could see that got filled. Okay, so there's no problem with that second level of the double chest. All right. So basically, it's pulling from the distributor, and it's storing it in those chests. So this guy is automatically scanned its area, its active area. They have to be within that 8x8. That's weird that it's showing 16x16 for that, because it's actually 8x8. You could tell when you place it down, and you could place more than one in a chunk. See, it's only an 8x8 area. So you could have different types of warehouses if you wanted in a single chunk, up to 4 of them. But that's interesting how the survey tool is showing it as being a full chunk, where in fact it's not. All right, so we should have been getting wood. We have. So all of our wood's going in here. And we've again configured it like we did in the distributor blocks, where we're telling it how many to store by dragging them out into rows. So you could arrange those however you like. Maybe like your ores or something you would want to do, let's say vertically. You know, it's up to you how you want to arrange things. But say I want iron ore like so, and then I want my coal like this, 3 rows, 4 rows of it. And then I want just one of gold. Like that. And then, whatever, however you want to arrange it. Lapis and redstone, you're going to get a lot more of it. So let's just have like a miscellaneous, like we'll say diamonds, emeralds, whatever, however you want to arrange it. But it'll go through and gather all this iron here and all this coal and so on and so forth. And it's pulling the wood, so now we should have gotten some relief in the tree farm here. See, all the saplings are pulled, which again is not really what you want. It'll gather these saplings as it harvests, but we don't really want to pull all the saplings out. But it's a two-way communication. So this guy has saplings configured. So if this tree farm says, "Oh, I don't have any saplings," well, it'll ask for them from the distributor. It'll say, "Hey, distributor that's configured for saplings, give me. And then the distributor says, "Hey, I don't have any in my inventory." It does at the moment, but it says, "I don't have any." And it starts looking around. Is there another tree farm? Is there another distributor? Okay. Is there any in the warehouse? Then it'll pull it from the warehouse. So you really don't have to worry about if you get completely empty on a particular item, as long as it's configured in a distributor and you have it stored somewhere else. Okay. So that's important to realize for this system. Here's our iron ore. We don't have it configured yet. Let's go ahead and configure this distributor to handle iron, gold, and diamonds. Oops. And diamond, just for instance. So we'll let this guy go ahead and handle that, and it's pulling from our mines. And this mine is active right now. So this mine is pulling materials. So obviously you're going to want to pull out your granite, your diorite, your andesite. And you can have multiple of these distributor blocks to do stuff like that, but they consume the whole chunk. So once I've laid down this distributor block, I can't put any other type of machine or inventory or whatever, any of these industries in that same chunk. So you need to be aware of that if I attempt to do that, if I attempt to put a warehouse, let's say here, it's going to say this area is already in use, which it is by the distributor. The distributor has taken up that area. So these things are space related, and Dooglamoo Cities is a city mod that's meant to use large areas of the world. So that's just part of how it works. Whereas this guy will only consume an 8x8, so you can have multiple warehouses, or some of the manufacturing industries are 8x8. You could fit those in their area. So let's see what we've gotten. We did get, now we haven't updated yet to pull from the mines, because the reason is, just because it's in that chest doesn't mean anything. It needs to be, well, no, that's not true. That's not true. It will pull these. It just hasn't updated yet. Okay. Now the actual inventory of the warehouse, I was saying that this guy would look over if it didn't have saplings and say, "Hey, warehouse, you got any saplings?" Well, that's not really accurate yet, because I don't have this guy configured as a provider of saplings. You need to, it is a two-way device like the distributor is, an in and an out, transmitter, receiver, transceiver. But for it to go out, what's coming in is configured by what's in the chests, what's in the inventories in its area. That's what's coming into the warehouse. But what's going out of the warehouse is what's configured in the warehouse block itself. So now I'm telling this guy that he is a provider of saplings. So it's much like the distributor where you configure it. So it will look to try to create a stack of those and keep a stack handy of the items that you've configured to make it a provider. So, we'll look at that in more detail when we start to provide to the manufacturing industries. But let's look at all right, so it's pulled the diamonds, it's pulled the gold, it's pulled the iron from our mine shafts. Now we want to get them into here, which will happen automatically because we've configured it. Now, I have noticed that, especially if you add storage, that sometimes you need to break this block and put it back down for it to recognize the change. And if for some reason you're not getting what you expect, then you can do that. You could just break this block and place it back down. But this should update to store those items. I think the warehouse only does its updates like twice a day, if I'm remembering correctly. There he goes. Okay, so he just pulled over all those items from the mines, from the mine distributor, and now we've stored them in these chests. So vanilla chests work great, and there are some other modded chests that work as well. Okay, so we should have taken the load off of our lumber mill now to where that we're not getting. See, it's pulled all the wood, and it should be getting saplings from here, from the warehouse, if it needs them, or again when it harvests. Okay, so the mine shaft is telling us it's low on wood and coal. It should be getting wood from the distributor over there. Coal, it's got a little, so I'm not exactly sure what it's wanting. Maybe it just hasn't updated yet. We'll just let it go. Now, I do want to mention that we still got a problem with the farm because we haven't configured anything. So you can have multiple warehouses in the same chunk if you choose to do that. And you can configure them for different types of items. So let's say we configure this chest for wheat. All right, so let's get several rows of wheat here, 4 rows, and then a row of potatoes, and a row of carrots. And then we can configure this guy as a provider. Let me clean out my inventory a little bit. Hotbar. Let's go ahead and get potatoes and carrots so that it can be a provider as a fallback position if it needs to give to the ranch. All right, so that's how you can control items that are going out, but keep items coming in. So now wheat's coming in, so the final product of the farm is going to be here. This will be its final location. Again, not taking the economy into consideration. So let's go ahead and increase the tick rate to give this a chance to update. That distributor over there should be configured to pull wheat. All right. And it doesn't have any place to put the wheat at the moment. All right. So there you go. It updated. So now our farm is getting some relief. And we should be able to be active again once it empties out the distributor. See, now the distributor's got a whole new set of stacks that it can pull. from the farm here. So this will quickly empty out after it does some of its updates. So anyway, that's how it works. And so you'll want to, we'll, in future videos, maybe we'll look at a storage organization system, and let me know in the comments if you want to see that. It's kind of personalized to how you prefer to work, but maybe there's some ideal things that we could look at. I'm not sure what the mine shaft's wanting. It's got coal. It should be getting wood. Let me just give it some wood. Here, have some wood, man. It should be getting wood from the distributor over there, though. I don't know if the distributor block being right next to it does anything. It shouldn't. The survey tool will tell us if it's linked to that other distributor. See, it's saying that it's linked to the distributor right next to it. To the warehouse 21 meters away, there's another distributor 32 meters away and another warehouse. So it sees everything. So that should be fine. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video on the warehouse. And this is just kind of the basic look at it, just to understand the principles behind it. And again, in future videos, we'll look at some modded storage solutions and things of that nature. And let me know in the comments what you want to see and what your questions are. If I got anything wrong, I do so much appreciate the feedback. You have no idea, because when you produce these videos, this is a brand new channel that's just getting started, and I really would love to get more feedback from you guys. And I obviously want to grow the channel and see subscribers, but let me know how I'm doing. And I promise you, I appreciate it so much, and it makes such a big difference. Thank you guys for watching, and this is Scott Amato. Have a great day. Bye-bye.